And billionaire financier Ken Griffin is spending tens of millions of dollars to back Republican primary candidates across the U.S., but records show he hasn't contributed to former President Donald Trump's campaign. Since 2015, Griffin's political contributions totaled more than $248 million, $250 million, according to Open Secrets, an independent nonprofit that tracks money in politics.
We're going to get more on billionaire Ken Griffin's political donations with Allison, campaign finance reporter for Bloomberg in Washington. You take a look at the way he's been giving to the Republican Party, and I've got to say, he's been carving out his own voice, hasn't he, Bill? He has been kind of bucking the trend from some of his peers. Where exactly has he been giving, and how does it perhaps dovetail with what, or the lack thereof, with what Trump has to
do? The place where he's been giving money a lot in this cycle, and really started in a large scale in 2022, where we really started seeing it, he's trying to shape the party by giving to candidates running in primary races, and typically open primaries, not necessarily challenging an incumbent. And he has kind of a criterion for candidates. He's looking for people sometimes with business experience, sometimes with a military background. He's looking for people who have strong leadership skills. And he works through a number of super PACs that basically will come in and back these candidates and try to get them into Congress. Now, one of the things that's kind of very different is that we had, especially in 2022, and even to some extent this time, Donald Trump has a certain kind of candidate that he's looking for. Sometimes they're bomb throwers, sometimes they're in the MAGA mold, and that's really not what Ken Griffin is about. He would much rather see people who are elected who are basically going to solve problems and try to steer the country, make Congress an effective place, and steer the country.
It seems like he's one of the few people that can avoid, however, the gravitational pull of Trump's control over the Republican Party. Are there any others that give in the amounts that he does who aren't giving to Trump? How much has he given already in this election cycle? Like $70 million?
Yes, 75 million plus so far. And, we're just, as the saying goes, we're just getting started. There really is not a donor on his scale who does the same things. I mean, there are other folks that have taken kind of similar strategies. Paul Singer of Elliott Management is one who frequently gives to the same super PACs that Griffin gives to. But at the level that he's giving, one of the things is that, I think he was, there are about 7 super PACs, super political action committees that he's giving money to that are playing in these different races. And he was, the top donor in, I think, 6 or 7 of them. And somebody pointed out to us, well, he's the top donor because he's Ken Griffin. He gives more than anybody else.
And can we talk about how he's actually giving this money? Because super PACs seem to be the vehicle of choice here, though. But in some cases, he has donated directly to candidates and their campaigns, correct?
Right, exactly. And, he gives to party committees, he gives to candidates, he gives to campaigns. Sometimes he'll give to, there are these vehicles called joint fundraising committees, where it's usually like a leader, like a Kevin McCarthy, the former House Speaker, has had several. And they'll tack on 30-odd candidates to get money from it, and it allows a donor to write one big check that's then distributed among all these other people. Mm-hmm. And so he'll do that, but he'll also give directly to, and sometimes using the WinRed platform. I'm not sure if it's him making the transaction, but the online donation platform, and he'll give directly to a candidate that he likes.